Veeramaruti Gambhiramaruti Veeramaruti Gambhiramaruti Dhiramaruti Ati Dhiramaruti Dhiramaruti Ati Dhiramaruti Geeta Maruti Sangeeta Maruti Geeta Maruti Sangeeta Maruti Duta Maruti Rama Duta Maruti Duta Maruti Rama Duta Maruti Bhakta Maruti Parama Bhakta Maruti Bhakta Maruti Parama Bhakta Maruti Veeramaruti Gambhira Maruti Dhira Maruti Ati Dhira Maruti Geeta Maruti Sangeeta Maruti Duta Maruti Rama Duta Maruti Bhakta Maruti Parama Bhakta Maruti Veeramaruti Gambhira Maruti Gambhira Maruti Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhetamastu Ma Vidvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om friends, welcome to the Yuva Chaitanya Satsanga, where we are discussing now the fifth topic, the seventh chapter, the fifth topic, the march of progress. Last time we were discussing in details about the contents of seventh para, Japa and Dhyanam, the preliminary exercises, and contemplation, the final. Okay, now the seventh para as such is covered. And before we go to the eighth para, I'd like to fall back to sixth para. We have already seen last time about Japa and meditation, where the Japa would be to make the mind quiet, single pointed towards the meditation upon a given deity. So Japa and Dhyanam go together. Japa would end in the exercise of meditation. So we'll just see something about the what the sixth para says. I think we have either skipped it or we have not discussed on this. So the sixth para says to repeat, it defines Japa. To repeat with or without the help of a rosary, that is Japa Mala. A mantra continuously fixing our mind upon the divine import and spiritual suggestions of the mystic word, thus repeated, is called japa. So the definition given in yoga is of japa is tad japa tad artha bhavanam. That is called japa, where you chant the name of the Lord with the meaning understood. Artha bhavanam. So you have to feel what it suggests. As it is mentioned here, uh, continuously fixing our mind upon divine imports and spiritual suggestions of the mystic word. So whatever is the mantra we have taken up for chanting, it's here we need to fixing our mind upon divine imports and spiritual suggestions. So that is the meaning of the mantra. So we have to engage our mind in meditating upon the meaning of the mantra, and we should chant this mantra. The word mantra means mananat trayate. Mantraha, mananat trayate. That which saves us, protects us when we reflect upon it. Mananat. So what is the important is the Swamiji's word, to meditate upon divine imports and spiritual suggestions of the mystic word. That is the mantra. So this, while chanting, the mind should be engaged in trying to meditate upon essential divine imports or spiritual suggestions. Well, this is the definition of japa. Now here it is said to repeat with or without the help of rosary. Rosary is japamala. So with or without, you may, according to, there's no much insistence whether you must with rosary or without rosary. Whatever it is, what is important is chanting the name of the Lord. So whether you can, with the help of japamala, when you take it, of course there are some checks when you take up japamala. In case the mind is wandering away from your japa, the rolling of the bead will stop automatically. That is the indication when we'll come back. And usually the japamala is containing 108 beads, and starting with one mala a day, or one mala in the morning, one in the evening, it is suggested that we must be able to chant this japa with 20 malas in the morning and 20 in the evening. That's the maximum part of it. This is according to one's capacity, the time available, and here we are not taking Japa Yoga as a main sadhana. It is an auxiliary aid to Vedanta sadhana. This we have seen last time. Now just incidentally, since it is there with or without, so with Japamala, when it is said, we must know how to handle the rosary or Japamala. So suppose here is a Japamala. It may be containing of Rudraksha beads or Tulsi beads. According to the name that we are chanting, or the name and form of the Lord that we have in mind, whether Shiva or Vishnu, etc. So that is secondary aspect. A mala, we have to hang it between two fingers. One is thumb and another is ring finger. So you can see this between thumb and ring finger, anamika, angushta and anamika. Between this you have to hold. And this, of course, is the Meru, is the bead on the top. You have to start with that. So at this moment, the mala is hung between these two fingers. Then the middle finger is used to roll the bead. See, it is one by one. Chant the mantra, and after having chanted, roll the bead. And like this, it will continue. When we come to the Meru bead, then don't cross the bead, then turn the mala and again go back for your second round of Japa mala. This is in short with rosary. Here the main idea is that in all religious practices, the three fingers are valid to be used. That is thumb, middle finger and ring finger. These are the three. And the index finger and the little finger, they are rejected. Little being very little and the index finger being indicated to differentiate between you and I, the sense of difference, an egoistic, charging, threatening, we do like this. So the index finger and the little finger is not allowed in using for religious purpose. So these three fingers are only used. With these three fingers, out of this, we are holding between ring finger and thumb mala and rolling the bead with a middle finger. So this I have shown already. This is with mala. Without mala. Now I've seen one person in a retired person in our area, Napata area, who used to walk with mala in hand and chanting. I thought it's a bit of exhibitionism, and that's not necessary whether you are chanting with this mala, etc. It should be done in the close corners. Now, suppose you want to do it even when you are traveling or whenever you have a free time, anywhere. Place is not important. You are away from your house. Then there is another method of counting. You don't have to carry the mala with you. Here is your right hand, and on the right hand, we start with Anamika. On Anamika, there are three parts. The middle one, we start with the middle one on Anamika and then count. We should be able to count from 1 to 10 and back from 10 to 1. Likewise, this will be chanted. Now see how we are counting. This starts with the middle of the ring finger, 1, down 2, then side 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. These are the 10. Again reverse 10. So again start with 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 2 malas are over. While traveling, etc., you don't have to exhibit that you are chanting, etc. So you can do it with the hand and continue your japa. So this is with or without rosary, and even this counting. For meditation, the counting is not important. For japa in itself, counting may be useful, but finally, it is not the counting that matters, but it is your mental concentration in harmony with the chanting of the name, trying to meditate upon the meaning of that mantra, the divine import, or the spiritual suggestion. So this is uh, the important aspect of japa. Now, for example, we will take one mantra japa. It should lead us to the mood of meditation. It should lead us to the silence. For example, Om Namah Shivaya. This is one. There are several mantras that we can take up for japa. Any one of them will do. And they are listed further as we proceed in our portion. We'll find the list of mantras there. Or any mantra that you have chosen already, you need not change that. There are techniques of concentrating the mind. We want the mind to put to sleep, or as we discussed last time, we need to take the mind, reach the feet of the Lord and remain there as merged. So finally the mind becomes quiet and peaceful. This is what we require. So this is done with chanting only one thought. The name stands for a thought. That thought being repeated so that it restrains the mind to go to any other thought. Ordinarily, like a monkey, the mind is jumping from one thought to another thought, then to third thought, and doesn't require much effort. It can find a link also. How it goes to another thought, they are not interrelated, and still it can jump to another thought, as we have seen some time back. So when we see that red bus, BESC bus, we see the bus. In front of it, it is mentioned Leyland. When Leyland takes me to Tamil Nadu, Madras, from Madras, I remember DMK, etc. And see now from I am in Bombay and I have just seen the bus and the mind like a monkey from the thought of the bus to Leyland, from Leyland to Madras, from Madras to DMK political party, and likewise it gives on jumping from one thought to another. If you see the monkeys, normally they are on the top of the tree, and from the tree to the tree, they don't come down on the ground unless they have something to eat there. Otherwise, they go from tree to tree, they eat some halfway some fruits, flower, etc. on the tree. So carrying from one branch to another branch, one branch of this tree to another branch of another tree. Likewise, they go. And the roots of the tree are on the ground. Now, if we consider the branches of the tree as thoughts, then they are rooted in the soil of consciousness. It is from consciousness that the thought rises. So instead of going back to the roots of the thought, which is an attempt of japa and meditation, we go from one thought to another thought. And that each and another thought have no mutual relation, no connection. And we can. So instead of jumping into very many thoughts, now the monkey mind is disciplined to carry only one thought. So when we say one chanting of one mantra, then it tends to go to another thought. Then again repeat the mantra and bring it back to the same thought. Many times, if we want to make the child sleep, small child, it's a technique of sound. We just make some sound repeating, or some kind of song repeating. and the child goes to sleep. Similarly, here also, instead of allowing the mind to wander into the jungle of thoughts from one tree to another tree, give the mind only one word and ask it to repeat that. And we will find slowly, mind is first becoming introvert, concentrated, and then it is merging in silence. From where the silence comes, there is a silence between two subsequent chants. When one mantra is chanted, there is a gap. That is silence. Then again the sound of the mantra. Then followed by the silence. So in the beginning, the attempt of the japist is to concentrate on the mantra, to meditate upon its meaning. When he is now well acquainted that the moment he chants the mantra, the entire suggestion, spiritual suggestion, etc., comes to his mind. Then the next, you can say, next phase of his japa is to continue the japa, but your attention of your mind should be at the silence between two successive chanting. So you are chanting mind, physically you are chanting the japa, but mentally you are concentrating on the gap of silence between two successive chants. This is the second phase, and it will take time. It is not immediately necessary. First, one has to get acquainted fully with the mantra japa and its meaning, its suggestion, and meditate on that. And the next one is to concentrate mind's attention in between two successful chanting. And in between two successful chant is a gap. In the gap, there is a silence. The first name is already chanted, and the second one is yet to be chanted. In between, there is a silence. Now, the second phase will be to pay our attention to the silence. The main characteristic of the mind is to tune it with the surrounding. If the surroundings are buzzing, the mind will be agitated, disturbed. If the surroundings are peaceful, the mind will tend to become peaceful. So when we go to the temple, and if the temple is clean and peaceful, then the mind also tends to become peaceful. Instead, when we are going in a marketplace where there are shouting and shrieks and all that, then the mind cannot be silent. It is also tends to be disturbed or agitated. So then there we need to concentrate in our transaction. So this tendency of the mind to tune up with the surrounding, what is called as sadakarata. The mind tunes in harmony with the surrounding. So if mind is concentrating on silence between two sounds, then the mind tends to become silent. So this is the idea. Now we'll just, for example, we will chant one mantra, Om Namah Shivaya. 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 Namah Shivaya. Om 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 stands for the truth, the Brahman. Namaha indicates the sense of surrender. Shiva stands for infinite awareness, all pervasive consciousness, the changeless witness in us. I surrender to Lord Shiva. Om Ityekaksharam Brahma Mamanusmaran. Gita 8th chapter, 13th verse indicates that Om is the symbol representing Brahman, the truth, the eternal existence. Shiva stands for infinite knowledge, infinite light of awareness, all pervasive, pure consciousness, and within us, the changeless witness consciousness. Kutastha Sakshi Atma. Namah Shivaya. And this is how we can try and practice the chanting of Lord's name. The mantras are very many. We have now and then displayed the Namaduns. Sri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namah Shivaya. And some Vedic mantras like Tattvamasi. So, Om Brahmasmi. These are various types of mantras that one can take up according to one's choice, what inspires him or what his mind is most attracted to, that becomes our Ishta mantra. If you already have mantra, you don't have to change it. The point is only bringing the mind to a single pointed concentration, withdrawing from the very many thoughts, and finally trying to meditate upon the suggestions of the mantra. So here we have just taken, for example, one mantra and the next. And now we'll see further what Swamiji has to say in the sixth para. This technique keeps the mind always uplifted away from the dark world of objects and their distracting fascination onto the reviving climes of the final spiritual illumination. So from the world of objects, of fascinations, where mind naturally tends to go out, being extrovert, facing the world of objects, so that mind in our given time, when we are at the seat of our sadhana, we have to take it up for the practice of japa, and thereby finally it has to, he said, reviving climb. See the use of words, they are all contradictory. Climbing is not reviving. Climbing is really strenuous job. But here climbing is going to the higher levels of consciousness. And the more we reach the higher, the more the mind becomes silent till it reaches the silence. That is the truth. So this is reviving climb. As we ascend in our steps of sadhana, there we become from quietude to peaceful, and from peaceful to the silence. These are the ascending steps for the mind, and they are reviving. So just the quietude is only free from the world of objects. Peaceful means concentrated on a given line of thinking. But when it is silent, it is without any object, without any thought, and it is a state of one's own being. Thus, slowly, through this reviving climb of the final spiritual illumination, this illumination is realizing what? The infinite awareness, the light of infinite awareness. When we say light, it only means the manifest condition of the silence. So where we become aware of, where we become conscious of. So this light of awareness or consciousness is a manifest condition. In unmanifest condition, it is the infinite and the eternal. But when it manifests through the medium of Maya, then it is called a light. It's a figurative. It should not be taken as real. There is some flash of light or lightning, not necessary. But it is, we become aware of the higher level of our being. At this moment, I am Mr. So and so, a person. Later on, I come to identify with pure consciousness as myself. And finally, I become the very silence of the self. So, thus there are reviving climbs, and it is a final spiritual illumination. When we become one with the infinite light of awareness, that is called here as spiritual illumination. The thoughts, chittam, become quiet and alert, and the mind gets more and more introverted into spontaneous mood of meditation. So the quiet mind becomes peaceful, and peaceful mind becomes silent, and silent is merged into the mind which is silent becomes the silence. That is the ultimate for the mind. So here that is indicated. When thus the mind becomes silent, then there is a mood for meditation. We are meditating on something which is not concrete with form, which is not an object with form, name and form, which is not a thought, but which is a state, the state of consciousness. And that state of consciousness. So Swamiji's instructions here for this kind of meditation is make the mind silent and watch the silence. This is the only instruction. Make the mind silent and watch the silence. I am observing the mind. Extrovert mind has become introvert with the technique of Japa, etc. The introvert mind has gathered to concentrate upon a given line of thinking with the help of Japa and its suggestions. And through that, the mind becomes silent. I am awake to watch these different stages of mind. The extrovert mind becoming introvert, mind carrying hundreds of thoughts, now carrying only one thought. Now it's concentrated on that thought. It has become one with that thought. And finally, the thought has reached the state of silence as its source. The source of the thought is consciousness, and consciousness is the silence. So thus the mind is led from the external world to become introvert and later get into a spontaneous mood of meditation. This was our sixth paragraph. Now, is there anything that we can discuss on this? We have seen, for example, what is Japa Yoga, chanting the name of the Lord. We are increasing the frequency, lowering the frequency, increasing the volume, lowering the volume. And with this sort of oscillation, we are trying to get the mind asleep into a silence. I am awake, but my mind has gone into the silent mode. So this can be brought with the help of Japa. Then that silent mind can be further directed to meditate upon whatever is the line of thinking. Now the japa itself, the mantra itself can become the theme for meditation. Otherwise, having made the mind silent with the help of japa, that mind can later on be taken up for meditating upon some statement, as we are discussing here, some important statement by our teacher. We can bring it to our, recall it, and then trying to meditate upon its content, what it means. So likewise, there are statements here from our teacher, or you can take it up even a bhajan or a stanza or a verse from Atma Bodh. You can take up the Pratasmarana Stotra for that. There are various pieces of literature which can be useful for meditation or contemplation. So this was the point in the sixth para, to get into the mood of meditation. Then we have discussed the seventh para last time, and in which we have covered what is japa and how it encourages the meditation. This we have seen. And now we are on the eighth para. Before going to that, do you have anything to discuss further? There is very little. Yes.
While
Moin.
chanting the name, right now we observed that first the speed was slow and then gradually it increased and then it decreased. So, to chant name like this, I thought that uh, my attention was on speed only. So
That is
this
the idea. That is the
okay.
idea. When you start chanting rapidly, then the mind tries to catch it up, lest it should slip from its attention. So to
Okay.
hold the mind's attraction, it is the speed is increased, and the speed is decreased to make the mind silent. Once having drawn your attention to that, to dwell upon that and become silent, slowing the chanting will also help. So first draw your attention. So there are different ways. Now sometimes the speaker doesn't start immediately. He waits, it takes a bit time. Now the listener who is just sitting like that, looking here and there, expecting that now he will start his talk. But the speaker doesn't start. And this gap of silence makes every listener draw his attention towards the speaker. And when thus all the listeners are attentive, then the speaker will start his words. There are different ways to draw the attention of the mind, and having drawn the attention, then to concentrate there. Now to hold the mind there concentrated, and that is the skill of the speaker, what he's talking about. So these are the techniques of making the mind engage with what we are chanting, and slowly, slowly feel asleep. This feeling asleep is becoming silent. Now let the mind become silent and I am awake. That is the condition we want to bring in the waking state. Therefore, to make the mind come to silence, we have this technique. We can do it by rapidly chanting, then slowing down again rapidly, or raising the volume, lowering the volume. There are different techniques. Somehow the mind has to be first with all its attention available, then it should be concentrated on that, and then the meaning of the mantra can be given for it to understand or to meditate. And likewise, the japa is slowly getting the mind into the mood of meditation. We want to make use of the japa technique only for that, to make the mind introvert, gathered, concentrated on a given mantra and its suggestion, meaning. Tad japaha, tad artha bhavanam. Japa means basically that. It is not just chanting, it is with meaning understood. We have to feel the meaning. Tad artha bhavanam means you have to feel that meaning of this. So when I am saying Om Namah Shivaya, the Namaha is more important there, the sense of surrender. I surrender to thee and thy grace. So this kind of feeling should be there with the mind and a seeker. So in any mantra, there are some suggestions in which the individual ego is to be surrendered at the feet of the Lord. The mind has to come to the feet of the Lord for its concentration and for its final merging with the silence. So thus the ego and the mind both are tackled later in meditation or contemplation. But it begins with japa. So japa withdraws the mind from the outer world, invites the mind to the inner world, and there drawing its attention to the contents of the mantra, thus engages it, and then finally the mind comes to the mood of meditation. So there you can meditate upon the essential meaning of the mantra. Mananat trayate, this is important. After reflecting upon the mantra only, it will save you, or it will give you the benefits that it has. Merely chanting without understanding what you are chanting, that mechanical chanting will not have much effect. So for here, for our Vedanta sadhana or for the contemplative exercise, this kind of preparatory mind seasoned with japa and with the mood of meditation, we can then take it up further for our Vedantic contemplation. So this is a preparatory aspect that we are discussing. Now we are proceeding to the 8th para. The rishis encourage us to combine these three main paths judiciously and thus deny the mind the least chance to wander freely into the spiritually unhygienic fields of sense gratification. So now, what are the three main paths? Swamiji is here summarizing. The rishis encourage us to combine these three main paths. What are these three main paths?
Japa, dhyana, and contemplation.
Japa dhyanam is okay.
Swadhyaya.
Swadhyaya. So Swadhyaya, Japa and Dhyanam. These are the three exercises considered here that we were discussing, and that is here suggested as three main paths judiciously. We are combining these judiciously and thus deny the mind the least chance. Even the least chance is denied to the mind to wander into unhygienic field of sense gratification, because that is not hygienic for the mind. We are taking the mind to its purifying content through the technique of Japa and Dhyana. Therefore, with mind wandering in the world outside is prohibited. So this is giving the least chance to the mind to wander freely into the spiritually unhygienic fields of sense gratification. That is the 8th para. These are the small paras because the point is important and that there is no expanding, is concentrating on this point. So here, making the mind by through these 3 paths, so engage in the study of the scriptures, then reflection on that follows, and then japa and dhyana. These are the 3 main sadhanas that are suggested here, and it is mainly for making the mind introvert, gathered and concentrated on a given theme, whether it is a mantra for chanting or a thought for meditation. So thus making it more and more silent. From very many thoughts to a single thought with its meaning understood and given the exercise to the mind for meditation. So that was the content of the 8th para. So this is summarizing. Now we are proceeding to further the actual Vedanta sadhana. This was contributing to as an aid to Vedanta sadhana. The study of the scriptures, japa and dhyanam will help the Vedantic seeker. Now what seeker has to do, this is only the beginning, preparatory beginning. And now we are talking about the main sadhana, that is Vedanta sadhana, and see how it is related to japa and dhyana. So I'll just read out the 9th para. While listening Shravanam, we only participate in spiritual life. When we study Swasthya, we get involved in the ideas to which we had listened. In Japa, our involvement deepens, and in meditation, we come to get ourselves totally committed to the ideal, which is the goal of all spiritual seekers. So these are the 4 levels suggested in this sadhana. The first is participation, second is involvement. So in Shravana it is participation. We are just listening and receiving the ideas. And when we study, the study has 2 levels. One is personal study and second is the study through group discussion with the similar seekers of the same type. So this is involvement, second level. And the third level is when we have a very clear picture about our goal through listening and reflecting. When the ideas are very clear to us, then to contemplate upon those ideas is to commit ourselves to the goal. But there we are actually walking the path. The Shravanam and Mananam, and in between Anyonyam Tat Prabodhanam, group discussion, these are only preparatory. Again in this, the actual sadhana is contemplation. When you say sadhana, it has a suggestion of meditation or contemplation. And to prepare for that, we need to participate and involve in the theme before we take it up for meditation. So Shravanam and Mananam are required as the basic exercises to understand any subject, not only the spiritual science, but also any other subject. You need to listen to the master and reflect upon what he has said or what we have listened. This will own up the information received from the master as our own knowledge. So the Shravana, we only get to know what we didn't know. Now we have known, but we are finding a bit difficult to understand because there are some doubts. So to clear the doubt, we require to reflect upon what we have listened and thus clear ourselves of the concept. When we have reflected upon, so to aid or to help the reflection, a group discussion is a louder reflection, so that the group discussions will help us in learning how to reflect. What are the different pros and cons? What are the different questions that our mind may raise and our intellect has to answer? So this kind of reflection is important, where we own up the information as our knowledge. With this, now we are ready to commit. The committance means here afterwards, on the path, there is no stopping till the goal is reached. Arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached. It's a clarion call by Swami Vivekananda. So this commitment is this on the path. Thereafterwards, there is no going back. Or straight away, keep walking till you reach the destination. So this idea is there in when you say it is committed. So participation, starting, involvement, middle, and commitment, the last. In these levels, we proceed in our sadhana. So this is suggested in the 9th para. Totally committed to the ideal, which is the goal of all spiritual seekers. Lastly, when these 4 steps are over, to live up to the vision received, what is considered flashes or glimpse of reality in our day-to-day life is the last. So once you have experienced that at the seat of meditation, remembering this state of meditation during the day while interacting with the world will make a difference. So that vision is to be remembered and you face your day-to-day world of your duties, responsibilities, etc. So that is living up to the vision. So that can be considered as the 5th one, but it is next. It is after having committed to the ideal. So the first 4 levels are suggested here. It is participation, involvement, and commitment to the ideal. So involvement has to be deepened in between, and in meditation we find our commitment. So to deepen the involvement, we have group discussions and personal studies. Together, it will have an effect. So that was about 9th para. Is there anything to be discussed here? How do we progress? Participation, involvement, deepening the involvement, and commitment. What is your imagination of progress?
I think it is more of a journey of discovering, in the
Yes.
sense that initially it is a journey of discovering,
Discovery,
in the sense
self-discovery.
No, I don't know. I don't know about self-discovery. I don't know whether it is self-discovery at this stage or not. But initially there is only curiosity that this seems to be really, really interesting. What is it? Initially, there is more curiosity. Then whatever comes in terms of understanding, listening from great people, this helps put my life better into order, at least at the thought level. May not be in reality, at least somewhere my thinking gets a better direction, and I feel that benefit. And as this process improves more and more, then I think I want to be more a part of it, and to see if there is a way that I can express my gratitude. And that is how the discovery progresses.
Expressing the gratitude is incidental in between, but reaching the goal is important. Having reached there, when the one gets that joy of reaching the goal, or he himself becomes joy incarnate, then he feels grateful about his master, who has been instrumental in guiding you from A to Z. So that sense of gratitude will automatically follow when you are immensely benefited by that. And it's actually without any purpose, the teacher gave out everything to us. So this kind of is giving without expecting anything in return has made us indebted to it. And then we have the sense of gratitude. So that is something one of the very important cultural value, to be grateful to our benefactor. But that is not last. That is incidental, natural expression. When we get something, we don't get it with our closed eyes. We get it. We see who has given us, or etc. So thus the sense of gratitude is there. But finally, benefiting by that in terms of our true nature as pure consciousness or infinite or endless joy. So this, when we come to experience, then we feel grateful for our benefit.
Yes, I think the difference, my limited understanding of the difference between involvement and the commitment is that in the stage of involvement, I am trying to assimilate the knowledge better and better, while in the stage of commitment, I'm looking to see how it changes my approach in my working life, in my normal life itself. So this gap between absorbing, assimilating, to trying to see the change, trying to feel the change. Is it creating a change in my reactions to situations? Is it making me more more open-minded? Is it making me more more compassionate? These there is more and more interest to see if those things are happening.
Yes.
Otherwise,
that is why when I use the word self, you denied that. No, not self necessarily.
I tell you why I denied.
Because the meaning of the self is I. And at this moment, my idea about myself is that I'm Mr. So-and-so, an individual. Okay. So now this study will give me the real meaning of I. When I come to, so for this, I have to involve, first participate in listening to the subject matter, which tells me about my true nature. Who am I? So when the scripture says, Tattvamasi, you are that ultimate truth, the Brahman, the Guru tells us about our infinite nature of consciousness in us. So this is what we have heard. We have participated in the discussions on that and involved in that, so that we become more and more acquainted with our true nature. When it is commitment, then I want to become that. That is commitment. What I have heard about myself, what I have understood about myself through study and reflection, I want to become that. So this becoming is a sense of commitment. By this, I come to know my true nature. I become that, and then this kind of my self-image or true nature of the self changes my performance, improves my performance in my day-to-day life. Earlier, as an egoistic person, I will do my job, okay, but people have to recognize it. Somebody has to, boss has to appreciate it, and all that we expect some response from that. And if we don't receive it, then we are not happy. So this kind of our happiness depends upon something happening in our favor or something like that, to my choice, to my expectation. And there are so many conditioning. But as we improve in our understanding about ourselves, that I am not Mr. So and so an individual, but the consciousness behind the individual, then the conscious being behind the consciousness. Likewise, when I go and I understand my true nature, then my true identity having established, thereafterwards, I come down according to the needs of the situation without losing my true identity. Therefore, I'm always balanced in my interactions with the world. So this maintaining a balance in the interaction without giving any accent to the egoistic projection, I become true to the requirements of the job at hand, and I participate, I involve, and I commit to the task whatever is given to me. So this has a very natural repercussions or reflections upon our day-to-day life. So actually, the outcome of our day-to-day life, whether it is success or failure, whether it is happiness or sorrow, depends upon what I consider myself to be. So according to my valuation about myself, then I will value the situation accordingly. So if I say egoistic person, you and I, that becomes a difference. So I go to office and do my job. So I am different. The field of work is different. The instruments of work are different. The sense of different rules over. But when I come to know about my true nature, that the consciousness in me is consciousness pervading everywhere. It is pervading in all the living beings. Then there is a close intimacy. So in spite of our differences in our field of work, in our type of work, etc., we are essentially one. And that intimacy will make us work in harmony with each other. And that will contribute to the success of our undertaking, the outer world. So therefore, definitely, this has got a very good effect on our day-to-day transaction. And in turn, it gives us the satisfaction that we are able to not only know our true nature, we experience that, and we are also, with reference to that, we are able to assume an appropriate role and deliver the good in that. So this is how it will lead to a sense of satisfaction for having done something which was supposed to be done, and without disturbing my essential silence that the mind has maintained during the interactions with the world. So this is I am at poise with the help of mind, and I am in harmony with the surroundings while interacting with the world. So this is the beauty of knowledge, that we first benefit ourselves and incidentally we become very much useful to the surrounding in our services. Therefore, it's an all-out advantage at all levels. But it is essentially, it will benefit ourselves first. So that is the outcome of this sadhana, spiritual sadhana. And thus we have seen how we start with participation, grow with involvement, and deepening the involvement. Finally, we commit in the path to become what we have aspired for. So the ideal becomes the actual. What was an ideal for us as a destination? We reach the destination and become that destination. So this is knowing is becoming. This is the Bhaved Brahmaiva Brahmavit. So this is a statement in Upanishad. Brahmavit Brahmaiva Bhavati. The knower of the Brahman becomes Brahman. So knower of the self becomes the self. This is the idea. So while trying to study, listen about the nature of the self, reflecting upon the nature of the self, and finally becoming the self is the ultimate goal. So when I become, and it is through knowledge that we unbecome what we have considered now to be the body, and we become the self or consciousness. So this process of unbecoming what we have already become and becoming what we were in original. So this is the process through participation, involvement, deeper involvement, and commitment. So that was about 9. Now we go to the 10th one. No progress in any walk of life is possible without leaving the present state and moving forward to win a new state of greater glory. No growth is possible unless there is a willingness to drop out our previous conditions and accept the ampler status of the new conditions. Childhood must end in the youngster. The youth must end in the old man. Continuing, if a bud is not ready to end its present state, how can it grow and unfold itself to become a flower? And that concludes the chapter. Here, a very, very important thing is that if we want to progress, we must be prepared to leave the present state. And we have discussed this point earlier also. It's like climbing the steps. The process has to be observed properly. We first raise the one leg and place it on the higher pedestal. Then we raise the another leg and keep it on the higher. Then we have ascended one step. So likewise, the preparedness to leave the lower step is very important. If we don't lift, or if we don't leave the previous conditions, we will not progress. So here it is, one of the requirement is that it is not possible without leaving the present state. So the bud must unfold itself into the flower and the fragrance. So this idea is the very main idea about this textbook, the Manual of Self-Unfoldment. We are but in a sense immature. We are not with knowledge necessary. Therefore, this, if we have to open up, then we need to go through those process of participation, involvement, commitment, etc., and become that. In order to become that, we have to unbecome what we are at present. This process of unbecoming is leaving the lower level, and becoming is reaching the higher level. So this point is asserted in last two paras. If bud is not ready to end its present state, so this is there is a suggestion, and you can have a lot of reflections on this. The people refuse to grow. They are happy with their daily rut of usual things, the mechanical go round, and they are not prepared to progress. They said they are happy with this sense of life and they don't need any change. So this kind of uh, settling in the mechanically in the present life will not lead to the progress. So in order to progress, we must look for the higher. You must have curiosity for the higher and the better than what is present. That should be our attempt. So in that, Narada has said in one of the texts that we almost maintain the curiosity to gain something better and higher than the present. This kind of jnana is very, very important. If you have a complacent feeling of whatever we have today is okay, then there is no chance for any further progress, any higher progress. So this is also suggested that we must look out for something better and greater in life. And to seek the better, if this curiosity is maintained, then this path is accessible, so that we are prepared to leave the lower level of your present state, and then it is possible to go to the higher level of progress. So these are the essential contents of 10 and 11, and with this chapter is closed. This is taking a review of the march of progress, how the individual progresses on the spiritual path, what are the levels or steps of sadhana or spiritual practices, how it begins, what are the preparatory practices, what are the main practices, and how we arise from step by step from participation, involvement, and commitment to become what we know. So this is in short, the march of progress. And now, with the next time when we meet, we will begin with the 8th chapter, unless there is something more to be discussed from the portions that we have covered. So we are discussing about the idea of progress, and in connection with participation, involvement, etc. In participation, we are informed about our higher level of sattvic being. At present, our sattva is impure. It is more prompted by tamas and rajas. And therefore, we are confused personality, we are agitated personality, and that does not contribute to any sense of satisfaction or happiness. But if we increase this sattva in us or reduce the influence of rajas and tamas in us, then we will tend to become sattvic. These are the growing steps of participation, involvement, and commitment. If we go like this, then we can find that the first to cultivate the sattva. So by reading, by listening, and by reflecting upon that, we are marching towards that, to become sattvic. So to make our mind sattvic is the first job. So participation and involvement will help us in that. And in the commitment, even sattva is transcended. And we can become trans sattva, meaning we can say Gunatita or Nirguna. So this kind of development from Malina Sattva to Shuddha Sattva, from Shuddha Sattva to Trans Sattva, beyond Sattva. This is the progress that we can get in participation, involvement, and deeper involvement, then commitment. So this is how we can conclude with this. We stand as one family, bound to each other with love and respect. We serve as an army, courageous and disciplined, ever ready to fight against all low tendencies and false values within and without us. We live honestly the noble life of sacrifice and service, producing more than what we consume and giving more than what we take. We seek the Lord's grace to keep us on the path of virtue, courage, and wisdom. May thy grace and blessing flow through us to the world around us. We believe that the service of our country is the service of the Lord of Lords, and devotion to the people is the devotion to the Supreme Self. We know our responsibilities. Give us the ability and courage to fulfill them. Om Tat Sat. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya, Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Mritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Hari Om.
Hari-
everybody.
Hari Om.